It's The Rock We Live On with Mo and Craig.
Cheers. Welcome back to The Rock We Live On.
Rock we live on.
The Rock We Live On has
It's
been a crazy freaking place the last week and a half or so.
It's becoming a wild place
Yeah.
to be. I think we're living in historic times right now. When looking back, kids will probably talk about these days and what went on, and who
Yeah.
knows what's going to happen next. It's a crazy time.
It's an insane time, and it's one of those times where I one of the things that has been crossing my mind a lot lately is how in the future, how will people look back on right now?
Right.
Because there are a lot of historic times, from the past that we were not around for.
Yeah.
But we look back on them and say, how did this happen?
Right.
Where did things go wrong? How could so many people be so complacent with things and, stuff like that? And now we're seeing that people can quite easily be just totally okay with whatever the hell, with whatever. Like, it's obviously I'm beating around the bush a little bit, right?
Yeah, we haven't quite got to the point yet.
We haven't gotten to the point, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for the fact that and I can't speak for you,
Right.
but I can speak for me in saying that there's a reason I'm kind of beating around the bush with what I want to say, because I still have a day job.
Yeah,
And I'd
me
rather
too.
not lose it.
Yeah. And that's what's happening these days. I mean, we're referring to, of course, the situation that happened with Charlie Kirk,
Mm-hmm.
and then the aftermath of that. And first and foremost, neither of us believe that this is a horrific incident that
Yeah,
took place.
absolutely.
I
That needs to be said
Yes.
right off the bat. Is the way that we're all going to lose our lives at some point, right?
Yes.
That's just a part of being a human being. At one point, we're all gonna unfortunately die. But it's different when someone's life is taken,
And
right?
publicly.
Yes.
Yes.
Being, whether it be cancer or old age or
Right.
whatever the fact is, there are a bunch of natural ways to go or ways that were not caused by someone else.
Right.
And so that's a tragedy in and of itself, that someone else put themselves in charge of taking another human life off the earth.
We talked about this before when celebrity had died, and it was a big thing in the news. And we were kind of talking about their age and what took them out. And like, hey, well, he had a good run.
Yeah.
He did some great things.
Yeah.
He had a full life. And some of the younger guys, that's too bad. It's too bad for their family. It sucks for them. They had so many things going for them. They were doing great. Malcolm Jamal Warner, we were
Right.
talking about, he died too young.
Yeah.
Had a lot of things to do. So the same situation here. However, it's so public and so gruesome, and it's really shocking.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you knew Charlie Kirk or not, seeing those images, and it's kind of hard not to.
Yeah, man. And, I think it kind of speaks to the just the availability of gruesome content.
Right.
Right? Because I saw the video when it first came out.
I did too.
I don't
didn't
think you can
believe it.
find it online anymore. Well,
Really?
I mean, if you can, you probably really have to search for it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look for it, but I just know like a friend had sent it. Excuse me, good old Bud Light. A friend had sent it to me, and I had gone back just a few days, several days afterwards, to go back to the video, because I was looking for, there's conspiracy stuff coming out now, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well.
Yeah.
But, so I went back to see if I could see what those people were talking about, and the video was not available anymore.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say, for years now, we've been able to watch things like that at any time on the internet. So it's almost become normal.
That's the thing. I mean, there's a whole conversation about how society has become numb to gory graphic things because of modernized in movies and television and video games, and now what we see live as it happens, we're watching things, there's a whole range of things that can be gruesome and gory. Back in the day, they didn't show that kind of stuff.
I mean, when I was coming up, there was a website. Oh God, other 30-something-year-olds, you guys will remember what I'm talking about. I can't think of the name of it right now. Rotten.com. I think that was the name of it. Rotten.com.
And they used to show that stuff.
Oh man, I mean, literally the most gory stuff. You could find, videos of people getting their heads chopped off, people that have like gone through some kind of sick, crazy accident where their body was all distorted and mangled, and it was just, you could find all kinds of gory stuff there.
You had to search for it. It wasn't just everywhere. This stuff, now you almost have to try to avoid it. My wife has not wanted to see the video, and she's somehow avoided. She's seen the one, the part where it stops just before, and so I think she's comfortable with that. She turns away or says, don't show me if it goes any further. So you have to make an effort to not see it in this day and age. So, and I think it's traumatized us because it's so public, because of what has taken place, and because so widely spread. It traumatized a lot of people, and that sparked a bunch of emotion.
A lot of emotion,
a bunch of emotion. And quickly jump in, who's at fault, what's the shooter going to be like, we're already guessing his background and who he's from, and putting labels, and everybody's running to their corners to see what they can come up with as their take for what happened.
And everybody wanted it to be somebody who was their enemy. Right.
Right.
If nobody wanted it to be somebody that looked like them, that represented the same things they represent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody was hoping that it would be the opposite of them.
Yeah.
But no, the controversy that's coming along with it, and all the, how can I say? Because again, like I said, I've got a real job.
We have to be careful with what we're saying, because people are
free
getting fired.
speech is currently being just trampled. If we're being honest,
it really is.
Free speech is being trampled on right now, and it's so funny to me. The side that used to say, "Oh, free speech is so important. We need to be able to say what we want when we want." And the side that used to hate cancel culture and think it was weird that racists were getting fired from their jobs, or that sexists were getting fired from their jobs, or that people that went online making threats were getting fired from their job. There was this particular side, not going to say anything, but I'm raising my right hand, that used to hate all that stuff, right? And we're completely against it. And now all of a sudden,
now it flipped.
Now you're making whole websites with lists of people's names and things that they've said that you disagree with online that you thought were insensitive, so you can get them fired.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, I personally discovered Charlie Kirk a couple years ago.
Yeah.
He just kind of randomly, some of his stuff popped up on my feed. I was like, "Well, it's Turning Point, Turning Point USA or whatever."
Right.
And I'll be honest, I completely disagree with almost everything he ever said that I saw anyway.
Right.
I found some of the things he said to be, very insensitive to people that look like me. And but that's not an excuse. I don't think he needed to lose his life for that.
I think he was a lot of insensitive to a lot of people.
Yeah.
That was his whole thing, was to dominate conversations and to demean and demoralize people that he was talking to. And I think he liked it. So the parts that I saw of him doing that, I just wasn't intrigued by it. It didn't interest me, so I just didn't watch it.
Yeah, I didn't either. Things would, initially they would pop up, right? And then at a certain point, I started to realize what this was. So I started telling Facebook, like, "Hey, I'm not your target audience, Facebook."
It picks up your algorithm.
And so then it would just, every now and again, something by him or something similar,
right?
Someone similar to him would pop up. But I'm not even going to talk about all the things that he said specifically, right? Because at the end of the day, he was a podcaster or a public figure, so sharing his opinion, whether it was right or wrong. In my eyes, it was wrong in most cases, but he was free to do that. He was free to do that, but
I went to fight for this country because I wanted to protect those freedoms. So absolutely, I agree that you are free to say whatever you want. That's the whole idea of the First Amendment. Although words matter.
Exactly. And my thing is, though, not so much him, but those that are making him like a martyr, or making him out to be this godly, I don't even know what terminology to use, but I'll speak as a black man, right? As a black man, because of the careers that I've chosen, and because of the places I like to, the nightlife establishments I like to attend or to patronize, and lots of different things about me have put me in a position where I interact with, become friends with, have great relationships with lots of people that are not black.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't even really race doesn't really matter a lot to me in most cases.
No.
Until you show me that if I was any other black dude, you wouldn't give two shits about me.
Right.
And that's how I'm feeling about some of my white friends that I see supporting
and what they're saying.
Like, the whole thing with the black pilot. Like, that's extremely offensive.
I'm not familiar.
So and I don't quote me because you'd have to go up and look the quote up. But basically, he said something about if he saw a black pilot, he'd wonder if they were qualified.
Oh, that's messed up.
Because of what? Because of their black?
Right.
That is racist. And no time in history, I think, ever. Well, social media's only been around for a while, but people are getting mad at you now for posting a person's direct quote.
Right.
Quote, videos of a person saying these exact words.
Yeah.
And people get mad at you for posting it.
Well, I guess if you're reposting or posting, then you must believe in everything about this person, not just those specific words.
Well, and then
so you're getting categorized.
There's also the whole, it was taken out of context, right? Here's a lesson for you. For something to be taken out of context, adding the rest of the statement has to then change the meaning behind the piece that was cut out.
Right.
Okay? So the statement about, the Second Amendment and a few, deaths being worth it to keep the Second Amendment, that's one specifically where people are like, oh, they're taken out of context. But when you add the rest of the statement, the meaning doesn't change.
Yeah, it didn't help.
It's just more words surrounding the statement that it's worth it to lose a few lives for the Second Amendment. That and if you can disprove that, if you can put that statement up and show me which part of it changes the meaning behind that statement, please feel free to do that. But again, I'm just bothered by the fact that so many people that I thought I was friends with, that I thought I had a good relationship with, have now shown me who they really are.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be associated with those people. And I could say some names right now because I remember several of them from, Facebook. And these are people that I know in real life. But I'm not going to say their names. Yeah. I hope they see this. And if you are on that list of people,
you know who you are.
Please, you can feel free to never speak to me again.
Wow.
I'll be okay with it.
Yeah.
I'll be totally okay with it because I don't mean to you what I thought I meant to you.
Yeah. Well, that sucks, and that's heartening for you. I'm sorry that kind of stuff happens, because to be honest, I was going to say I've had zero conversations about this topic with anybody, like at work. I don't have friends to hang out with. I talk to my wife about it. She tends to not pay attention to a lot of things that are happening in the media, and I tell her what's happening and update her so she knows what's happening in the world. But in this particular case, she didn't want to. She wanted to. She's done research, like, who is this guy? What's the big deal? So she's been checking him out and stuff like that. But outside of that, I haven't had any conversations. I haven't made any posts. I haven't had any friends making posts. Really, everybody's just kind of quiet. And I think there's fear.
Yeah.
And there's kind of like, just don't overstep, just stay in your lane. And that's what maybe that's what Gen X is doing, just hang back and see what happens, because we've seen stuff like this before, and maybe we just don't react, and it's going to pass, but things will be different from here on out, I'm sure.
They will be. And I like, what I'm saying now, I consider to be very tame. Yeah. Compared to what I'd like to say and how I'd like to really express myself. But again, I have a really cool job and I like it and I want to keep it. So I'm not going to really go any further than where I've already gone. Yeah. But I see posts from both sides all the time, and I'm not going to condone celebrating a man's death. I'm not going to condone celebrating, but let's talk about what celebrating means here, okay? Because people on that same side, right hand up, have said that, these people are making posts celebrating a man's death, right? And all that post might say is, well, I didn't agree with him. He shouldn't have died, but I'm not going to mourn him. That's not exactly. That's not celebrating. No, that is not celebrating. No. Celebrating is like that video of that white woman jumping around with American flag as a cape with a bunch of Trump gear on, and celebrating people being illegally detained. Right. That's celebrating. Yes. If you had gone online and said, F him and blah, 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 maybe that could be considered celebrating. Right. But not every person who did not support him is celebrating his death. No. So y'all like to take words, change the meaning of them, or intensify the meaning of them, and in all the while, you're being hypocrites. Because you know what was celebrated? While I'm on the topic, because now, fuck it, I'm here. You know what became, okay, I'm not going to go too far, but you know what was celebrated? Do you know what became a challenge on the internet? The George Floyd challenge, right, where people were jokingly laughing and putting their knees on each other's necks and taking pictures of it, making fun of it. That's celebrating. And there was what else was celebrating? Trayvon Martin, an innocent teenager who was gunned down after a man was told by the 911 operators to not follow that teenager, to leave him alone. He did it anyway. He killed that teenager, and then you idiots decided to take pictures with hoodies on, laying face down with Skittles in your hand. Yeah. That's celebrating. Y'all took packs of Skittles to this piece of shit man to sign. Yeah, that's celebrating.
Or even who's this Rittenhouse dude that's getting paid for public appearances and being called a hero. Yeah. And you know what's crazy is every time. And I'm sorry, I just cut you off, but I agree with you 100% on that. I actually posted about that on my Facebook when all that happened with Rittenhouse, and I think he's not a hero. He shouldn't even have been there. No. He didn't live there. No. Whatever. It's crazy that people do all those things, and then when the table turns... Right. Now you want to be sensitive. Now you want care. Now you want compassion. Now you want empathy. Right. Or outrage because of people are saying things. Yeah. Yeah. It just does not make sense. It doesn't work both ways. And it doesn't. And either we're all free to do these things, or none of us are. Right. That's just how it should be. Right. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, there was a young guy with a family and a wife and a long life ahead of him, and it was taken short from him in a public way, and it's horrific.
And I feel terrible
traumatic,
for his kids.
and that sucks for his kids.
His kids are who I care.
Every time I see something that upsets me, I go back to that. You know, his kids are growing up without a dad. Whether, you know, we weren't all, no, not everybody's guaranteed a good dad.
No.
And he might have been, although, you know, he was going to teach them things that I don't agree with necessarily, but that's his choice. That's what he's going to do. And I don't disapprove that. In fact, that's why I love this country, because you have the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
And it keeps going back under this whole big thing about the First Amendment. And to me, it was like, it's the First Amendment. It was the number one thing on the forefathers' minds, that when we're going to write a document, this is the first thing that we've got to make sure we get, you know, straight. And now it's kind of becoming cloudy. And like we said, words matter. I don't think you can, you know, use words to publicly, you know, attack people, or I guess not even attack isn't the right word, but like to threaten.
Yeah.
If you and if it becomes a credible threat, then there's an issue there, and you can't just say whatever you want to say if people are going to take offense to where they don't feel safe anymore. But you should be able to say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, you might lose your job over it. I don't really disagree with that. If people are representing a company in a way that it doesn't look good on the company, by the things that they're putting out, then maybe that, you know, that happens to a lot of sports celebrities and things like that, because they don't fit the brand.
Yeah. If you're throwing out a bunch of hate speech and, you know, anti-Semitic things, or, you know, threatening groups, or, you know, just super racist, super sexist, super, you know, whatever.
Right. Strongly anti anything.
Yeah.
Really.
To the point where you're starting to kind of seem maniacal, then maybe you know. But here's how I always saw, like, racism, for instance. And let me first define what I consider racism. Okay, I think racism can only be black and white. Okay. And my idea behind that is race was created for white people to establish their superiority over black people back hundreds of years ago. And the reason I say that is because the only actual race is the human race.
Right.
And when you are a bigot and you hate things, most of the time it's an ethnicity, nationality, or religion. Yeah. If you say I hate Muslims, that's not a race. That's a religion.
Right.
If you say I hate Mexicans, it's not a race. That's a nationality. Right.
So that makes you a bigot, but not a racist.
Or yes, you're a bigot. You are prejudiced, but you're not racist. The only directions that racism can go in, to me, are black versus white, or white versus black. I'm black and I hate white people, or I'm white and I hate black people.
Right.
Because almost every other thing is an ethnicity, nationality, or a religion.
They kind of fall into one category or the other.
Yes. So that's how I feel, you know, racism. That's what racism means to me. Racism doesn't matter to me if you are Joe Blow down the street doing oil changes at Jiffy Lube.
Right.
I don't care who you hate.
Right.
Because you have no real bearing on my life.
Right.
Right? If you are a gas station attendant, I don't care if you're racist. If you're a Walmart door greeter, maybe a little bit, because you might try to accuse me of stealing, but I got my receipt. I'm good to go. You know what I mean?
You're not going to say hi as enthusiastically as you should.
No, maybe not. But, you know, that everyday person, I don't care if you're racist, because you can't change my life in any way.
Right.
Where racism matters to me is when it's someone who can have some sort of bearing on your life. A cop, a judge, lawyers,
really,
you know,
any public
employer,
servant, because you're serving the public.
Yes,
and
your
that
employer.
includes everybody.
Exactly.
You're not going to single out any specific anything.
Yes.
You know, yes.
So that's where racism actually matters to me. Yeah. If you're, you know, if you are a white cop and you profile black people, and arrest them, illegally or whatever when they don't deserve it, that's when racism matters. If you're if you're a black business owner and you have a qualified white candidate and you choose not to hire them because they're white, that's racism. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it.
I got a question for you, even though it's a little off topic, but well, I mean, it's kind of the topic that we're talking about now. But if you go to a primarily white establishment, let's say, and I mean, it's open to everybody, but you happen to be like
I'm at a lot of those establishments all the time.
One of few black people in the room.
Yeah.
And you get treated differently. Do you say something? Do you push back? Or do you just let it happen and you accept it?
To be completely honest, it's very rare that happens to me. I usually fit in pretty much anywhere.
Right. But that has happened, or let me.
It has.
I'll tell you a quick story about it, real fast. My neighbors are like the best friends that we have, and we consider them family. They're a black family, perfectly great. We go over there, they come over here. We've been living next to them for 9 years, and they're the best neighbors I've ever had anywhere I've ever lived. We decided to take them out to the local big city and have a night on the town, and we were going to go watch some artists sing, like local artists perform some music. So we go there. None of us had ever been there. We didn't know anything about the place. So we get there, we walk in, we buy tickets. It's a place where you buy cheap tickets, and then you have to buy dinner or drinks or something. So we're sitting at the table, and we notice they're the only black people in the room, and there was probably, I don't know, 150 people in the room. It's all sit down, place where you're going to listen to music. We noticed that people that are sitting after us are being served. The waiter's just like not coming by. So I get up and say something to them. Hey, we've been sitting here for a little while. We haven't gotten any attention. Can we get somebody? Oh yeah, we'll be right over. And they come over, and then they took care of it. Yeah. That happened more throughout the night. Always. They would bypass us, walk right past us.
And at first it was maybe like, okay, it just happened. But then after a while, you're like, what's different about our group?
Right. Yeah. And it's the first time I've ever experienced it, so I didn't pick up on it that quick. But they looked at me and said, don't worry about it, Craig. It happens all the time. It's no big deal. We're used to it. Yeah. And I'm like, bullshit, I'm not used to it. And it's not going to happen. So I fixed it. Yeah. But I was so embarrassed. We stayed. We watched the show. They said they had a great time. They enjoyed it. It was wonderful. I was embarrassed the whole time for them, and I was so sorry that I put them in that situation, but I didn't know. And that was the first time I've ever experienced anything like that. And I didn't know how to deal with it. And since then we've gone other places, but we make sure we know where we're going, So, so I just didn't know if that ever happened to you, and are you okay with that?
It has. And yes, at this point I'm 37 years old. Right. I've been black the entire time. You know what I mean? So are you saying I am a person who is a fan of lots of things that, the other black community members would consider white. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I've been in situations where I got overlooked for service, or, maybe I caught somebody looking at me while I'm walking around a store, trying to find what I need. But in most cases, I don't say anything. You just let it go. I'm just like, whatever. You know what I mean? I am a person that will speak up in some, for some things. And I'm pretty well spoken. I would think that I'm pretty well spoken, and so I never want to be considered the angry black guy. Because that's a stereotype that some of us get.
You have to be careful with what you're doing and how you're acting, because you don't want to be stereotyped.
So even when I do
misjudged immediately, or overreacted to immediately.
So when I address things, I'm very articulate. I use a very low tone. Yeah. I make sure that my face does not come off as aggressive. That my body movements don't come off as intimidating or anything like that when I do have to address things like that, so it can be seen that because some people will just immediately be fearful, like I'm just gonna go rage like the Hulk or something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen to me a lot. Not, more times than not, I am accepted, have a great time.
Well, good.
When I go to places where I'm one of only a few black people, if not the only one. One of my work conferences recently I was literally the only black person at the conference.
Yeah.
I never once felt out of place.
Okay, good.
Not at all. Not a single person made me feel like I was sitting in my booth like, oh my God, they're all looking at me. Nothing like that.
You should never feel like that at all. And it infuriates me that it goes on.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'd never experienced it.
I went to a big old lake party out in Kentucky a couple of weeks ago. And it was 97% white.
Yeah.
I had the time of my life.
Oh, good.
And this is small, and we're talking small town Kentucky.
Small town.
Now, but a lot of the people were there from other places. They come there for this yearly event. But there were only a few other black people. 3 of them were my family that I was there with. And then, you could kind of point one out here and there.
Yeah.
But nobody there. I didn't feel like I was being looked at weird. I didn't feel like I didn't belong.
It should
I
be
had a
100%
great time.
non-issue.
Yeah,
it should not even be considered.
9 times out of 10 now at this point in my life, I feel totally comfortable in spaces where I might be one of a few black people.
Right.
But that's just how I am. And to be completely honest, if I'm being real, there's times where I'll be in a space. Now, does that mean I'm not a little apprehensive at first?
Yeah.
I might be when I walk in.
It's in the back of your mind.
And then, as I settle and I see, okay, cool, things are smooth, let's do it.
So you think
But there's also times, I'm sorry, go ahead.
As a younger person, you think the younger guys may not deal with it that way because they're not used to it so much? Because you said that you're 37 and you've learned how to deal with it.
Well, yeah, and times have changed a little bit since I was, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah. Things have become more progressive.
Testosterone has calmed down a little bit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Do you think those younger guys might be a little hyped up and looking for trouble, and if they catch anything, they don't know how to deal with it just yet?
Maybe. I don't know. I can't say. I don't have a lot in common with the younger black guys right now. And what I do try to do is educate them as much as I can when I encounter them. And I was actually about to get to that. So there are times where I feel going into a certain establishment that's predominantly black. If it's under a certain age, I might not feel safe there.
Right.
And then I might be completely wrong and the night goes perfectly fine and nothing ever happens. But if it's just the under 30 crowd, period.
Yeah.
White, black, or otherwise.
Yeah.
You just never know what's going to happen.
I would feel totally out of place. I mean, these are my kids.
Yeah.
I got kids that age.
You just never know. But there have been times where I've been at a predominantly black establishment and felt unsafe, just like I felt unsafe at a predominantly white one. So to me, there's no difference between. Now, if I see the environment and I feel like things could go downhill at some point, I may just remove myself from that environment before I ever give it a chance to go downhill. Yeah. And I might find out the next day and nothing happened and everybody at that place had a great day and a great time and a great night and whatever. It was all smooth.
Right.
But for me, I walked into this place good, and maybe there were, too many of this or too many of that or, I'm not going to specify what I mean by this or that because I don't want anybody to feel triggered by that. But
I feel that way around drugs or guns, I'm not used to being around that kind of an environment. If I was in a situation where there was a lot of guys packing, obviously, open carry and it's everywhere, or, actively using drugs, I probably wouldn't be comfortable in that situation. And I would, so it it doesn't matter the type of person you are at that.
See, I feel perfectly comfortable in those.
That's just not my thing anymore. Maybe, back in the day, maybe it was a little different, but yeah, it's just not something I'm 100%. And I was a weapons and demolition specialist in the Army, so. I know guns. I'm okay. Like I'm comfortable with handling one. I'm just not so sure
about you handling one.
And I've said it to a lot of people actually, like a couple of people. Like, hey, I'm glad you got that gun because if I need one, I'm going to get yours. I'm glad you brought it because in case I need it, I know where to get one. And they don't like that, of course, but I just have fun with people like that.
See, speaking of guns, like I was in small town Kentucky. This was before the big party. I was there a few weeks before that, and the town that my family's from is really small, but everybody knows each other. Everybody's friends with each other. And so my cousin, I go to have dinner with some of his friends. I meet some of his friends. They're the coolest people ever.
Yeah.
And they're older white couples. And one of them, was I went outside to smoke a cigarette. He came out too, and he was showing me his guns that he had on his motorcycle and stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I was just in my head, I was like, man, there's probably some black dudes that would feel kind of, iffy about a country, white guy showing him his guns and stuff. But to me, I was having a great time, and I'm not a big gun person. So he was like teaching me things while we were out there, and so I was like, man, I truly feel like I have some great relationships with people of all races. Yeah, and that's back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, we kind of
that's what hurts my feelings about seeing some of the people that are supporting Charlie Kirk's words. Supporting him is one thing. It just supporting his family and being in mourning and hoping the best for his kids and hating what happened and all that. That's one thing.
Right.
But when you hear the things that he said about people that look like me, and you claim to care about me, but you hear those things and you're totally okay with them, that lets me know that you don't care about me as much as you say you do.
Right.
And that hurts my feelings because I am a person who values relationships with people. Friendships, romantic relationships, acquaintances, work relationships, whatever the case may be, I value those things. And so then when you show me that you're the type of person who does not value me like I value you,
changes
that hurts my feelings, and I'd rather not be involved with you.
Yeah, that sucks. I just never understood that. So the whole aftermath from Charlie Kirk now is, we have a big infringement on First Amendment. We have celebrities losing their jobs. We have military people. Every level
everyday
of
citizens.
People are losing their jobs over this instance.
Now, as someone who's prior military, how do you feel about that? Like the service members that have now, are they getting kicked out of the service or are they just losing? I don't know how that part works. How that
I don't know if you can't get. I don't know that you can get kicked out. Well, the military is a different thing, and the military that I was in is way different than it is now. Mm-hmm. You didn't have social media. If you posted some of the stuff that I see soldiers posting, you would be in big trouble if you said those things publicly anywhere.
Okay.
So they let them get away with a lot of things that I couldn't get away with back in the day. The other thing is when you join the military, you waive your constitutional rights. And you swear to abide by the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So you give up the rights you are fighting to protect and promise to follow their rules. And they have a whole separate set of rules. And so those are the rules you have to follow. So I've had a lot of disagreements with some of the things that are happening in the military, and because you are under the UCMJ, you're not following the Constitution anymore, and you need to check what you signed up for and follow those lines. So people getting fired over that, they can get fired over because it's under Uniform Code of Military Justice. You can be court-martialed for saying bad things or bad mouthing. Racism is not tolerated, even though this situation is not about racism. Racism is not tolerated in the military, so you can be arrested and go to jail for racism or anything.
You can be arrested for adultery too, huh?
Yes.
That's wild.
Well, actually,
that's wild.
Self-pleasure is illegal in the military.
No.
Under the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Are you serious?
It's destruction of government property. And you
Are you serious? You're not joking.
I'm not joking. And you can be in trouble. So the whole thing is just don't get caught. So,
Oh my God.
So yeah, there's a whole new set of, well, and again, back when I was in, you couldn't get a tattoo because that was defaming public property or government property. You are government property.
Yeah.
And so you can't get a tattoo without permission. And, when I was in, they didn't give permission. So guys would just go get it and then deal with the aftermath.
The consequences
You're
of
right.
it.
Yeah. I did a lot of bad things in the military, but one of the things was in basic training, you couldn't have cookies. And they're like, do not have cookies sent here because we have to give you your mail. And you're going to get the cookies, but you probably, you may not enjoy it. So I'm like, hell yeah. Everybody I know to send me cookies because they have to give you your mail. It's a federal right. And so we got a ton. And they had what they call command cookie time, where they evenly divided all the cookies amongst everybody and gave you 5 to 10 seconds to get it all in your mouth. And so you basically, that was the punishment, is you had to woof a stack of cookies faster than you ever had.
Oh, that's right. So it was kind of like if you got caught, it was a cigarette as a teen, then your dad made you smoke a pack or something.
Right, it's almost the same thing. So, there's all kinds of rules in the military that there's a way around it. Or you go, well, I know the punishment is not as bad.
You're willing to deal with that punishment for the pleasure of whatever it is.
I'm going to half choke on a mouthful of cookies because I'm going to have a mouthful of cookies. And so, I'll get the tattoo and deal with the aftermath. For me, I managed to go AWOL 3 times, and I didn't get caught.
We're gonna have to do one day. We got because what? We need a whole episode on that.
We could talk about that. But I knew that the punishment wasn't going to happen, so I assessed the situation, knew that there wasn't going to be a punishment, so I knew I could take my chance and what I could get away with. And that's the way my opinion about military people. You know the rules, follow them. Yeah. Because they can really screw your life, and you can end up in Leavenworth, or you can be stripped of everything, and kicked out. And to go in the military for any period of time and then be kicked out on a dishonorable and not having the benefits, that would just suck. Because you're devoting a lot of your life to, certain things, and you should get the benefits for that. So, I've received an awful lot of 10% discounts over my life. So it's all been worth it.
And you deserve it. Thank you for your service, sir.
You
deserve those discounts.
It took 3 years, but man, I've been cashing in.
Thank you for your service. But on a lighter note, I'm
glad that we've been able to laugh about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is heavy topics, and we've taken it heavy ways, and I'm glad we can still have fun.
If some people might not even make it this far into the video, I probably, to be honest with you, some of them probably quit with 10 minutes in and started looking for my employer so they can report me.
Right.
But on a lighter note, obviously the internet, people on it can't take anything seriously. Right. So some of the jokes, not jokes about Charlie Kirk, but some of the jokes about like this supposed like race war or civil war that's going to happen, which I think is wild. Why were black people being? We didn't have anything to do with. We had nothing to do.
A white guy killed a white guy, so why is there a race issue?
Like when I saw
stories, I didn't even know there was any black people in the crowd. I haven't seen anybody, but why?
I doubt it. They were in Utah, so.
Right?
Unless it was the roster from the Utah Jazz,
right?
It probably weren't. But no. I saw, now I did not do a deeper dive into this, so it could have been false information. But I saw a few reports that HBCUs were being targeted after this as retaliation. And I'm like, we didn't do any of this. Why are you coming after us?
So again,
but
it's just an excuse
to
attack them.
To attack somebody.
It's a reason, it's some shooter sitting there ready for something to use as a reason.
As a reason, right. Even though the target you're targeting had nothing to do with it. But one of the things that I have found funny is the memes that have come from both sides, white, black, right, left, or otherwise, of like if it became like a race war, the Civil War, and it was like specifically I saw like a cluster of memes, and it was about the race war. If it was a race war, and it was people like it was like I don't know if you ever watched the movie New Jack City. No, but like I figured you probably hadn't. But there's a part where Wesley Snipes is like about to like shoot his own like best friend or brother or something, and he's got like a tear in his eye and stuff, and it's like black people sharing that picture, and it's like me when I find out I have to kill Keanu Reeves, or whatever, and it's like, but then there's but then it's like black people are like, no, y'all can do whatever the fuck you want, but y'all better not touch Martha Stewart, or or it's like it's like a meme of somebody running away, and it's like me running away to make sure I go and save Tom Cruise before y'all get to him, and I'm like, that's hilarious. But then there's also white people, they're doing the same thing. They're like, I don't know about y'all, but I ain't gonna let anything happen to LeBron, so y'all can like, or he's got somebody tied up in the basement or something, was like, I didn't have the heart to kill him, so I just put him in the basement. I made him sing to me, like it was. And so I love that even in some of the darkest times, people can still find humor and things to bring themselves to lighten the load a little bit.
Well, bottom line is life goes on. Most celebrities don't affect my life. Yeah. Most politicians don't really affect my life.
Right.
They can affect things that are around me or that can trickle down to me, Mm-hmm. So I pay attention. Mm-hmm. But I'm not freaked out when somebody wins an election. I'll be like, well, their term is going to end, and then we're going to move on, and we'll see who we get next. Yep. In the meantime, you
Make
get
the best
up
of it.
And you go to work, and you be a good person, and you be a good dad, and be a good brother, and take care of your family, and make your way in the world. Groceries cost a little bit more, but we're managing. So we just keep doing. That's bottom line. I mean, this came down to it's all about Christianity and morals and
we could have a whole episode on
I know. We may have to talk
on the hypocrisy of some of the Christian stuff.
Right. So I don't know how racism got into any of this assassination that we witnessed. Mm-hmm. It's terrible that it has. But it was more about he was more about promoting Christian values, and apparently somebody, the guy who killed him, just completely disagreed to the point that he wanted to take his life, and I think it's horrible. Again, I keep going back to his family. It's just terrible.
Man, those kids are
terrible, and they're going to see that.
And that's the thing. Like you said, it was so public,
right?
So public,
right? And that could really mess somebody up for life to see that kind of stuff, and they're going to hear about it. Their mom has a lot of work to do to protect them in their life.
What I hope is that they don't grow up blaming the wrong people.
Well, yeah, you never know
what happened to their father, or hating the wrong people for what happened to their father. Because don't get me wrong, I'm all about love and peace and happiness, and I consider myself a pacifist. I don't ever want to have to put my hands on another person again in life. No. But I do hold grudges sometimes about certain things.
Yeah.
And what I wouldn't want is for them to hold a grudge against the wrong people or person for what happened. That grudge should be held against that man and that man alone.
Right, right.
Now, we did mention this earlier, and I said we were going to mention it, so we'll just slightly. I am not a conspiracy theorist. Okay?
No.
I am far from it. In most cases, I'm the one that will argue you down on your conspiracy theory with presenting just logic why that doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know, why would it be that way? That just you're having to jump hurdles to come to that conclusion of that conspiracy.
Yeah, sometimes it's a big read.
However, I will say that the topic of the Epstein files
Right.
has really been thrown on the back burner by a lot of people, even on the right. I know I've been giving you guys shit, but I hope I still have some good friends on the right.
I have friends on the right. I don't care if
Yeah,
they're right.
I do.
Left,
Yeah,
whatever.
Because hey, I'm not gonna lie. I disagree with some of the left stuff too. We'll talk about that eventually one day, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But where was I going with that?
Conspiracy theory.
The conspiracy, yeah.
And
So there were people that were Trump supporters that I would see personally, you know, on Facebook or whatever, that started to turn a little bit because they're like, dude, we voted you in. We've been hoping you were going to do these things. There's some that have turned on them because, you know, farmers are losing out on stuff because of tariffs and but then I started to see some of Trump's supporters turning on him because they want the Epstein files to be released.
Right. They want to know the answers.
Yeah. And now
Don't hear about that.
you're not hearing about that.
Right.
They're up in arms about what happened to Charlie Kirk.
So the conspiracy is that
this
hit in order to divert.
Yes.
And
And
I guess,
I'm not gonna say I believe it, but I can say that in real time, I can see how that could be a thing
Yes.
that people would consider.
It is possible. Even Trump's assassination attempt, there's conspiracies about that for the same kind of reason, and we might be on the other side of that. I don't know. So I was going to say Cameron Owens is a former partner of Charlie Kirk. They did a podcast.
You mean
together.
Candace Owens?
Candace Owens.
Yeah.
What did I say? Cameron?
Yeah.
Candace. I got her name written right there.
Yeah.
And I still messed it up. Candace Owens. She apparently, they had a falling out and they were no longer partners because of her conspiracy theories on a lot of things. And she went down some rabbit holes that even Charlie was like, that was a little too far for me. So I think they had a falling out because of that. So she is now working hard on the conspiracy side to find any fact to any kind of conspiracy, whether it's the one you mentioned or another one. I think that's what she's on. So there's a lot of people working that angle. And then in the meanwhile, we've got the First Amendment rights and people losing their jobs over saying anything. Or, you've got Jimmy Kimmel, who's lost his job, and now you've got Disney getting affected by that.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's
look,
crazy.
I've been seeing a lot of my friends saying, or not a lot, but some people, and I've been reading reports of a lot of people canceling their Disney and Hulu subscriptions. And hey, I'm with y'all in spirit, but I'm not canceling my Disney Plus because that's where all my Marvel stuff is. So I'm sorry, I cannot do it. I cannot cancel Disney Plus because I need to be able to watch my Marvel stuff, my shows, my movies. So I'm sorry, I can't join y'all on that. No.
Jimmy Kimmel's going to be okay.
Yeah, he could literally start a podcast tomorrow and have 1 million.
I think there's going to be a network, an online internet network from him and who's the other guy that just recently got fired and he's going to lose his job? All these late night talk show guys or comedians. Stephen Colbert. I think those guys are going to join up, and a couple other people might, maybe David Letterman might join in, and pretty soon they've got a powerhouse network, and they've got the money. They can do something online where they can say online whatever they want, and nobody could get, and they would make money.
Yeah,
they would make a ton of money, and so I kind of think that's going to. I mean,
I feel bad for Jimmy Kimmel, but also,
he did.
I feel bad more for free speech than I do for Jimmy Kimmel because Jimmy Kimmel is going to be perfectly fine.
Right.
I feel more for the people that are everyday citizens that are losing their job, like that might be living paycheck to paycheck, and like I said earlier. More so because of the hypocrisy of the people that are trying to get them to lose their jobs. Because when it was the shoe was on the other foot, those people thought it was wrong to get people fired for their opinion.
Now we're making lists of people to go after. Investigate The View, investigate Jimmy Fallon, and let's see what he said, because maybe we could fire him for that. And I just don't. I just think all that's wrong. It's turning into a hunt to see, and it's really, state TV is really what comes to mind. Is like we're gonna start having media that's controlled by the government, and that's not America. That's not America.
Yeah.
Even though you've got the FCC, and they are licensed, we both worked for FCC regulated things you couldn't say any. I got in trouble for saying booger. You know what I said? I said, there's a band called, is it Jimmy Hates Jazz? Johnny Hates Jazz? Anyway.
Jimmy Eat World?
Okay, let's say.
That's the only one.
Here, I'm a radio guy. I come out of a song, Jimmy Eat World. Hey, there's Jimmy Eat World. What a strange name for a band, but it's better than Snotty Scotty and the Hankies. Phone rings. It's my boss. Hey, big guy. We don't say those kind of words.
Snot?
Snotty, Scotty, and the Hankies is what I said. And she said snot was too graphic of a word to say on the radio and that we could get in trouble by the FCC.
Are you shitting me?
I don't know if you remember WKRP. Being in radio, you've probably familiar.
I never watched it, but I had several of my colleagues referenced it a lot and showed me like some clips and stuff.
Well, the whole thing, WKRP was a big show that everybody loved, and Johnny Fever was the main DJ on there, and he got fired. The reason he came to WKRP, he got fired for saying booger, and he gets his job, goes to work for WKRP, and they said, "Go ahead, here's your first show." He cracks the mic, and he goes, "Booger." The first thing he said. So it immediately took me to that because I got in trouble. I laughed so hard. I just got in trouble for saying snot. But man. Take that down 100,000%. The FCC was licensing. You couldn't. There's a lot of things you can't say. There's still a lot of things you can't do on television.
Oh yeah.
They're being a little lax with it on late night. Mm-hmm. But now you can't talk about certain topics, or you can't reference certain things.
That might be a good episode too.
Going too far.
Some of the rules that we had to follow.
Yeah,
we're
definitely going to talk about DJ secrets and things that we did in the radio business, and tell some stories, because there's some fascinating things. You don't see radio,
Yeah.
I got the face for radio, so we did a lot of things that you didn't see.
I got the belly for radio. People don't want to see it.
Anyway, it's definitely the rock we live on is ever changing, and it's strange, and it's still wonderful. But
hopefully we both stay employed on it.
We got to find our place. Yes, I don't want to lose my job.
Please don't report us. I want to keep my job. I really like it.
We only said snot, nothing else. It wasn't that bad.
We'll see you guys later on The Rock We Live On. Hey, thanks for checking out The Rock We Live On with Mo and Craig. Make sure you like and follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. And then you can also find us
anywhere where you listen to podcasts. We're on all platforms. Or check out Spotify podcasts to watch our videos.
Thanks a lot.